Jake Morrison stood in the control room of the UES Unity, watching the stars through the large window. His hands were steady on the metal rail, but inside his chest his heart was beating fast. Today was the day that would change everything for humanity. Today they would meet aliens for the first time. The message had come to Earth 6 months ago. It was not like the radio signals that scientists had been hoping to find for decades. This message was clear and strong, sent directly to Earth's most powerful receivers. The words were in perfect English, which scared many people at first. How could aliens know their language? Dr. Lisa Carter walked up beside Jake and looked out at the stars too. She was the smartest person Jake knew in it. Came to studying life from other worlds. Her job was to help Jake understand the aliens they were about to meet. The translation program they used was very good, Lisa said quietly. They studied our broadcasts for years before making contact. They know more about us than we know about them. Jake nodded, but said nothing. He had read the message so many times he could say it from memory. Greetings to the people of Earth. You have achieved travel between stars. This makes you ready to join the community of thinking beings in the galaxy. Come to these coordinates. We welcome you to the Galactic Council. Captain Ben Rodriguez called out from his chair at the front of the control room. We are getting close to the coordinates now. Everyone should see this. Jake turned around to look at the main screen. At first, there was nothing but empty space and distant stars. Then Ben pressed some buttons, and the view changed. Jake felt his breath catch in his throat. A massive structure appeared on the screen. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The space station looked like a giant wheel spinning slowly in space. Lights covered its surface like a city at night. Ships of many different shapes and sizes moved around it, like busy insects. My God, whispered Dr. Amy Walsh, who was standing near the back of the room. She was the team's expert on how minds work, and her job was to study alien behavior. Look at the size of that thing. How many different species do you think live? There, Director Alex Thompson spoke up from where he sat at a communication station. He was in charge of Earth's new department for dealing with other worlds. The message said over 200 different kinds of thinking beings are part of the council. This station must be their meeting place. Jake felt excited and worried at the same time. This was what humanity had dreamed of for so long. Proof that they were not alone in the universe. Contact with beings from other worlds who had knowledge and technology beyond Earth's understanding. But it also meant humanity was very small and new compared to this ancient community of species. Commander Morrison, Ben called out, we are getting a signal from the station and want to talk to us. Jake walked over to the communication station and put on a headset. This is Commander Jake Morrison of Earth. We received your message and came to meet with the Galactic Council. A voice answered that was clearly not human, but the words were in English. Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Controller Veximer of Nexus Prime Station. We have been waiting for your arrival. Please follow the guidance signals to Docking Bay 7. A escort will meet you there. The voice cut off, and Ben began following the signals toward the station. As they got closer, Jake could see more details of the huge structure. The metal surface had patterns and designs that looked nothing like human architecture. Windows showed rooms inside where strange shapes moved around. Lisa stood next to Jake again and spoke quietly so only he could hear. Jake, I want you to remember something important. We know nothing about their society or their rules. What seems friendly to us might mean something very different to them. We must be very careful about what we say and do. Jake understood what she meant. Every word and action from now on would represent all of humanity. If they made mistakes, it could be bad for everyone back on Earth. The U's Unity moved slowly into the docking bay. The space inside was huge enough to hold 20 ships their size. Strange mechanical arms reached out and gently grabbed their ship to hold it in place. Through the windows, they could see beings moving around outside, but they wore suits that covered their entire bodies. The air composition readings show their atmosphere is similar to ours, reported Dr. Carter. We can breathe it safely, but they might prefer we keep our suits on for the first meeting. Jake made his decision. Everyone will wear environmental suits during first contact. We don't want to take any risks or make anyone uncomfortable. He turned to face his team. Remember, we are here to learn and to represent Earth with honor. Stay calm, be respectful, and follow my lead. The team began putting on their protective suits. Jake checked each person's equipment personally. Dr. Carter would help him understand any scientific or biological questions. D.R. Walsh would watch alien behavior and warn him about possible problems. Director Thompson would handle political and diplomatic issues. Captain Rodriguez would stay with the ship in case they needed to leave quickly. A sound came from outside their ship. It was like musical tones played in a pattern. Jake looked at Dr. Carter, who was checking her instruments. I think that's their way of asking us to come out, she said. The pattern sounds like a greeting song from some Earth cultures. Jake took a deep breath and walked to the exit door of their ship. This was the moment that would change human history forever. In a few seconds, he would be the first human to meet beings from another world. The door opened with a soft sound. Jake stepped out onto a metal platform and saw 3 figures waiting for him. They were taller than humans and wore flowing robes that covered most of their bodies. Only their faces were visible, and they looked somewhat like humans, but with larger eyes and skin that had a gray color. The figure in the middle stepped forward and spoke in that same strange but understandable voice Jake had heard over the radio. Welcome to Nexus Prime, Commander Morrison of Earth. I am Speaker Vex Thanis of the Galactic Council. We have waited long to meet your species. Come, there is much to show you and much to discuss about humanity's future among the stars. Jake felt hope and excitement fill his chest as he stepped forward to shake hands with the first alien he had ever met. He had no idea that this moment of hope would soon turn into humanity's greatest challenge. 3 weeks had passed since Jake Morrison first stepped onto Nexus Prime Station. The excitement of first contact had slowly changed into something that made him feel uneasy. Every day brought new meetings with different alien species, but Jake was starting to notice things that worried him. Speaker Vex Thanis led Jake and Dr. Lisa Carter through a long corridor filled with aliens of many different shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human, while others were so strange that Jake had trouble understanding how they could be alive. The walls were covered with symbols and writing in languages that made no sense to human eyes. Today you will meet Trade Minister Zolther, Vex Thanis said in his musical voice. He will explain how new species join our economic system. This is an important step in your evaluation process. Jake had heard the word evaluation many times in the past 3 weeks. Every alien he met talked about it. They said it was normal for new species, but something about it felt wrong. No one would explain exactly what they were evaluating or what would happen based on the results. They entered a large room where a creature that looked like a giant insect sat behind a curved desk. Trade Minister Zolther had 4 arms and eyes that looked in different directions at the same time. When he spoke, his voice sounded like metal scraping against metal. Humans of Earth, Zolther said, we have been studying your species for these past weeks. Your physical capabilities are limited. Your technology is basic. Your social structure is chaotic. Based on our analysis, humans fit into Category 7 of our classification system. Dr. Carter stepped forward. What does Category 7 mean exactly? Zolther made a sound that might have been laughter. Category 7 species are limited sentience. You can think and learn, but your abilities are not advanced enough for complex roles in galactic society. You will serve as laborers, resource gatherers, and basic service providers for higher category species. Jake felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. And what categories do other species fall into? The council species are Category 1, Vexthanis answered. We provide leadership and make important decisions. Categories 2 and 3 handle advanced technology and scientific research. Categories 4 and 5 manage trade and manufacturing. Category 6 species do specialized work. Category 7 species like yours do the simple work that others do not want to do. Dr. Carter looked at Jake with concern in her eyes. She had been studying the aliens they met, and Jake knew she had discovered things that worried her. After the meeting ended and they were alone in their guest quarters, she shared what she had learned. Jake, something is very wrong here, Lisa said quietly. I have been testing our own abilities against what I observe in the aliens we meet. Humans are faster at solving new problems. We adapt to changes better than most species I have seen. Our creativity in finding solutions is actually superior to many Category 1 species. Jake sat down heavily in a chair. Then why did they classify us so low? I think the evaluation was designed to put us in Category 7, no matter what our real abilities are, Lisa said. I believe they want us as servants and workers, not as equals. Dr. Amy Walsh joined them in the room. She had been observing alien behavior and studying their social interactions. Her face showed the same concern that Jake was feeling. The aliens are afraid of something about us, Amy said. I watch how they react when humans do things they did not expect. When Captain Rodriguez fixed their docking system in half the time their engineers thought it would take, they looked scared, not impressed. Jake stood up and walked to the window that looked out into space. He could see Earth's sun as a tiny dot far away. His whole world seemed so small and helpless from here. What are you saying? Jake asked. That they lied about wanting to welcome us. Amy nodded. I think they have been watching Earth for a long time, waiting for us to develop space travel. They knew we would be eager to join a galactic community, but I don't think they ever intended to treat us as equals. A soft sound came from the door. Jake opened it to find a small alien standing in the hallway. This creature looked different from the council species they had been meeting. It was shorter, and its skin had a blue color. It looked around nervously before speaking. Human Jake Morrison, the alien whispered. I am Mector of the Zelani people. I must speak with you in secret. It is dangerous, but important. Jake looked at Lisa and Amy, then stepped into the hallway. What do you want to tell me? Mector looked around again to make sure no one was watching. My people were classified as Category 6 when we joined the Council 50 years ago. But we were told we would be evaluated again after we proved ourselves. The second evaluation never came. Once you are classified, it never changes. Jake felt his heart sink. What are you saying? The Council needs workers more than they need equals. Mector said, every species that comes here gets put into the category that serves the Council's needs, not based on their real abilities. The Zelani are natural engineers and inventors, but we are only allowed to do maintenance work. The Corvin species are brilliant strategists, but they are classified as Category 5 and only allowed to manage supply deliveries. How many species know this? Jake asked. Many of us suspect it, but we cannot prove it, Mector said. The Council controls all information about evaluations. They control all communication between species. If anyone speaks against the system, they disappear. Jake looked back toward his quarters, where Lisa and Amy were waiting. Why are you telling me this? Mector's large eyes showed something that looked like hope. Because humans are different. In 3 weeks, you have already started to figure out what took my people years to understand. Your Dr. Carter asks questions that make the Council nervous. Your Captain Rodriguez shows abilities that concern them. They are rushing your evaluation because they want to control you before you learn too much. What happens if we refuse their classification? Jake asked. No species has ever refused, Mector said sadly. But no species has ever been like humans either. Maybe you can do what the rest of us could not. Mector disappeared into the crowd of aliens walking through the corridors. Jake stood alone for a moment, thinking about what he had learned. Then he went back to his quarters to tell Lisa and Amy what Mector had said. We have a choice to make, Jake told them. We can accept being servants in this galactic system, or we can find another way. Lisa looked determined. What are you? Thinking. Jake stared out at the stars and thought about all the humans back on Earth who are waiting to hear about humanity's bright future among the stars. I'm thinking it's time to find out what humans are really capable of. Elena Vasquez crawled through a maintenance tunnel deep inside Nexus Prime Station. As the team's chief engineer, she had volunteered to explore the station's technical systems while Jake handled the diplomatic meetings. What she found in the past week had shocked her more than meeting aliens for the first time. The tunnel led to a restricted area that aliens were not supposed to enter. Elena had discovered it by accident when she offered to help repair a broken air recycling system. The alien technicians had been amazed when she fixed the problem in minutes instead of the days they expected it to take. Elena reached the end of the tunnel and carefully opened the maintenance panel. Inside was a room filled with machines that hummed with power. The technology was far more advanced than anything the Council had shown to humans. These machines could create materials that did not exist naturally and generate energy in ways that human science said were impossible. She took pictures with a small camera and recorded everything she could. The most shocking discovery was a computer terminal that showed records going back thousands of years. Elena had learned enough of the Council's written language to understand what she was reading. The records showed that the Council had discovered and contacted hundreds of species over the centuries. Species with amazing abilities and technologies that could have changed the galaxy. But according to the files, these species had all been classified as threats and either enslaved or completely destroyed. Elena heard footsteps in the corridor outside and quickly closed the panel. She crawled back through the tunnel as fast as she could, her heart beating hard with fear and anger. The information she had found would change everything for humanity. When she returned to the human quarters, she found Jake talking quietly with Lieutenant Chris Baker, the team's security officer. Chris had been investigating the station's security systems and had made his own disturbing discoveries. Commander, they are watching everything we do, Chris said. Every room has hidden cameras and listening devices. They record every word we speak and every action we take. I found a control room where aliens monitor all the species on the station 24 hours a day. Elena interrupted them. Jake, we need to talk right now. All of us together. I found something that explains everything. Minutes later, the entire human team gathered in Jake's room. Elena spread out the pictures she had taken and began explaining what she had discovered. As she spoke, Jake's face grew more serious and Dr. Carter's eyes filled with anger. They have technology that could solve every problem in the galaxy, Elena said. Machines that could end hunger and disease and poverty for every species. But they keep it hidden and only use it for themselves. Dr. Amy Walsh looked at the pictures with shock. If they have all this, why do they need other species to do basic work? Because it's not about need, Jake said quietly. It's about control. If other species became advanced and independent, they might challenge the Council's power. Chris added more bad news. I also found records in their security systems. Commander, we are not the first humans they have contacted. They have been watching Earth for over 60 years. They waited until we developed space travel because that meant we were ready to be useful to them, but not advanced enough to be dangerous. Dr. Carter stood up and walked to the window. Jake, I have been analyzing the psychological profiles of every council member we have met. They show all the signs of a ruling class that maintains power through oppression. They see other species, not as potential equals, but as resources to be managed. Jake felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Every human on Earth was counting on him to secure a good future for their species among the stars. But now he knew that future would mean slavery. A soft knock came at the door. Jake opened it carefully and found Mector waiting outside with 2 other aliens he had not seen before. They looked nervous and kept watching the corridors. Jake Morrison, these are friends who can be trusted, Mector whispered. This is Zarakis, of the Aquani people, and Telver of the Crystalline Collective. They have information you must know. The 3 aliens entered the room, and Zarakis began speaking in a voice like flowing water. Human leader, our species have been slaves to the Council for centuries. We have tried many times to rebel, but we were always defeated because we acted alone. Telver's voice sounded like wind chimes when he spoke. The Council has a secret weapon they use against species that resist. They have detailed information about the home worlds of every species in the galaxy. If anyone rebels, they threaten to destroy entire planets. Jake felt his blood turn cold. Are you saying they would attack Earth if we refuse to obey them? They have done it before, Mector said sadly. 17 species throughout history tried to resist. Their home worlds were destroyed as examples to others. Billions of lives lost to maintain the Council's power. Elena showed the alien visitors her pictures of the hidden technology. Their faces showed surprise and hope at the same time. If this technology exists, it changes everything, Zarakis said. With machines like these, individual species would not need the Council's trade, networks, or resource distribution systems. Dr. Walsh asked the question that everyone was thinking. How many species on this station would join a rebellion if they thought it could succeed? Telver looked at his companions before answering. More than half, maybe 2/3. But they are afraid because no one has ever found a way to win against the Council's military power. Jake walked to the center of the room and looked at each person. What if we could find a way? What if humans could do something that other species could? Not. Chris leaned forward. What are you thinking, Commander? I'm thinking about what makes humans different, Jake said. Other species seem to accept defeat when the odds are against them. But humans have a history of winning fights we were supposed to lose. We adapt faster than anyone expects. We take risks that others think are impossible. Dr. Carter turned from the window. Jake, are you talking about starting a war against the entire Galactic Council? Jake looked out at the stars and thought about Earth floating somewhere in that darkness. I'm talking about giving humanity and every other oppressed species a choice. We can live as slaves, or we can fight for freedom and take our chances. Mector stepped closer to Jake. If you are serious about this, there are things you must know. The Council will meet in 3 days to announce your classification officially. Once that happens, you will never be allowed to leave this station. Then, we have 3 days to decide the future of humanity, Jake said. 3 days to choose between freedom and slavery. Elena gathered up her pictures and looked determined. If we're going to fight, we'll need every advantage we can get. I know where they keep their most advanced technology. Jake nodded and looked around the room at his team and their new alien allies. Then let's start planning. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when you underestimate the human species. The council chamber was the largest room Jake Morrison had ever seen. Hundreds of alien species filled the curved seats that rose up like a giant amphitheater. At the center sat the High Council, led by the ancient reptilian creature known as High Counselor Dexaris. His scales were black with age, and his yellow eyes held no warmth. When they looked at the human delegation, Jake stood in the center of the chamber with his team around him. Dr. Lisa Carter, Dr. Amy Walsh, Elena Vasquez, Lieutenant Chris Baker, and Commander Rick Johnson had all chosen to stand with him for this moment. They knew that what happened in the next hour would decide humanity's fate. 3 days of secret planning had led to this moment. Elena had mapped every critical system on the station. Chris had identified security weaknesses and guard positions. Rick had prepared the UES Unity for emergency departure. Most importantly, Jake had coordinated with over 200 alien species, who were ready to rebel if humans showed them it was possible. High Counselor Dexaris spoke in a voice that echoed through the chamber. "We are gathered today to announce the official classification of the species known as humans from the planet Earth. After careful evaluation, the Council has determined that humans shall be designated as Category 7, limited sentience, with assignment to labor duties throughout Council space." Jake had expected this, but hearing it announced to the entire galaxy still made his anger burn. He stepped forward and spoke in a clear voice that carried to every corner of the chamber. "High Counselor, I request permission to address the Council. Before you make this classification final." Murmurs spread through the crowd of aliens. Apparently, no species had ever requested to speak at their own classification ceremony. Dexaris looked annoyed, but nodded his massive head. "Speak quickly, human. Your words will not change our decision." Jake walked closer to the High Council and pulled out a small device that Elena had built from the advanced technology she had. "Discovered. Honored Council members, I have evidence that your evaluation process is fraudulent and designed to maintain your power through the oppression of other species." The device projected images into the air above Jake's head. The pictures showed the hidden technology Elena had found, the surveillance systems Chris had discovered, and the historical records of destroyed civilizations. Gasps and shocked voices came from the crowd as species saw proof of things they had long suspected. Trade Minister Zolther stood up quickly. "This human has violated restricted areas of the station. These images are fabricated lies designed to create disorder." Jake smiled coldly. "Are you saying that Council species do not possess technology capable of solving hunger and disease for all species in the galaxy? Are you saying that you do not monitor and record every action of non-Council species? Are you saying that you did not destroy the home worlds of 17 species who refused to accept your classifications?" The chamber erupted in angry voices as species realized the truth about their situation. Security Chief Kryvak, a large insectoid creature, signaled to guards positioned around the room. Jake saw them moving toward the human delegation. "Furthermore," Jake continued, raising his voice above the noise, "I present evidence that human capabilities far exceed your Category 7 designation. In 3 weeks, humans have repaired systems your engineers could not fix, solved problems your scientists could not understand, and discovered secrets you thought were hidden forever." High Counselor Dexaris slammed a massive fist on his podium. "Enough. Guards, arrest these humans for crimes against Council authority." The guards began moving through the crowd, but Jake was ready for this moment. He activated a second device that Elena had prepared. Every screen in the chamber lit up with a message that was being broadcast to every species in the galaxy. "Citizens of the galaxy," Jake's voice echoed through the chamber and across countless worlds. "I am Jake Morrison, speaking for the human species of Earth. Today, the Galactic Council has revealed its true nature as an oppressive regime that maintains power through lies and fear." Security guards reached the human delegation, but something unexpected happened. Alien species throughout the chamber began standing up and blocking the guards' path. Met-Tur and his allies had spread the word, and the rebellion was beginning. Jake continued his broadcast as chaos erupted around him. "The Council classifies species not based on their abilities, but based on their usefulness as slaves. They possessed technology that could free every species from want and suffering, but they hoard it to maintain control. They threaten to destroy entire worlds if any species dares to resist. A large security guard reached Jake and grabbed his arm. Without hesitation, Jake used the combat training he had learned in Earth's military to break free and disable the guard with moves that shocked the watching aliens. Human fighting techniques were unlike anything they had seen. The human species rejects the authority of this corrupt council, Jake declared, as more guards tried to reach him. We refuse to accept your fraudulent classification. We will not serve as your slaves. As of this moment, humanity declares itself in a state of war with the Galactic Council. The chamber fell silent for a moment as the full meaning of Jake's words sank in. No species had ever declared war on the Council. It was unthinkable. High Counselor Vexaris roared with rage. You dare threaten us. We will destroy your pathetic world and every human on it. Jake looked directly at the ancient alien leader. You can try, but you should know that humans have been preparing for war since the day we learned to make fire. We have survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars. We have conquered our own planet and reached for the stars. Do you really think we will submit to you without a fight? Elena activated the devices she had planted throughout the station's critical systems. Explosions echoed through the corridors as power systems failed and security barriers shut down. The station's ability to prevent ships from leaving was disabled. Rick Johnson's voice came through Jake's communicator. Commander, the Unity is ready for departure. Multiple alien ships are also preparing to leave. Jake grabbed the broadcast device and spoke one final message to the galaxy. To every oppressed species listening to this transmission, the time for freedom has come. Humans have shown you that the Council can be defied. Join us, and together we will build a galaxy where all thinking beings are truly free. The human delegation fought their way through the chaos toward the docking bay. Alien rebels joined them, creating a growing crowd of species fleeing the station. Behind them, Council forces scrambled to restore order and prevent the massive rebellion that was spreading across the galaxy dot. As Jake ran through the corridors toward their ship, he knew there was no going back. Humanity had chosen war over slavery. Earth would soon face the full might of the Galactic Council's military forces. But for the first time since arriving at Nexus Prime, Jake felt truly hopeful. The galaxy would never be the same, and humans would make sure of that. 3 months after Jake Morrison's declaration of war, Admiral Kate Phillips stood on the bridge of the newly constructed ED's Defiance, watching enemy ships approach Earth's solar system. The Council fleet was massive, stretching across space. Like a dark cloud, hundreds of alien warships moved in perfect formation toward humanity's home world. Kate had been working without sleep for weeks, preparing Earth's defenses for this moment. Every nation on the planet had united for the first time in human history. Factories that once made cars and computers now produced weapons and spacecraft. Civilian ships had been converted into fighters and bombers. The entire human race was ready for war. Admiral, we count 412 enemy ships, reported Captain Tony Miller from his position at the tactical station. Tony commanded the first squadron of Earth's new strike fighters, built with technology that Elena Vasquez had stolen from Nexus Prime Station. Kate nodded grimly. How many ships do we have ready? 87 combat vessels and 200 converted civilian ships, Tony answered. We are outnumbered more than 3 to 1. Dr. Rachel Green entered the bridge carrying a datapad filled with information about the new weapons her team had developed. In 3 months, human scientists had advanced their technology by decades using the alien systems Elena had brought back to Earth. Admiral, the new plasma cannons are ready, Rachel reported. We also have the magnetic torpedoes and the electronic warfare systems that can disable alien computers. Our ships may be smaller, but they hit much harder than the Council expects. Kate looked out at the approaching enemy fleet and thought about the message Jake Morrison had sent from deep space. He was leading a growing alliance of rebel species who had joined humanity's cause. Their job was to attack Council supply lines and military bases while Earth defended itself from the main assault. All ships, this is Admiral Phillips, Kate announced over the communication system. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for the freedom of every thinking being in the galaxy. The Council expects us to surrender when we see their overwhelming numbers. Let's show them what humans do when the odds are against us. President John Martinez's voice came through the speakers from his command center on Earth. Admiral, you have authorization to engage the enemy with all available force. The entire planet is counting on you. The Council fleet stopped just outside the range of Earth's defensive weapons. A transmission came from the largest enemy ship, and Kate ordered it to be displayed on the main screen. High Counselor Thexaurus appeared, his ancient reptilian face filled with cold anger. Humans of Earth, you have chosen to defy the natural order of the galaxy, the alien leader said. Your pathetic rebellion ends today. Surrender now, and we will allow your species to live as slaves. Resist, and we will exterminate every human in existence. Kate stepped forward so the alien could see her clearly. This is Admiral Kate Phillips of the Earth Defense Force. We have a message for you and your council. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not kneel. If you want to destroy us, you'll have to fight for it. She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. All ships engage the enemy. Show them what human warfare looks like. The space around Earth erupted into the largest battle in galactic history. Human ships moved in ways that confused the alien commanders. Instead of forming orderly battle lines like civilized species, humans used chaotic attack patterns that seemed random, but were actually carefully planned. Captain Tony Miller led his fighter squadron in a direct assault on the Council flagship. His small ships moved so fast and unpredictably that the enemy's massive weapons could not target them effectively. The fighters released their magnetic torpedoes and watched as they attached to the alien ship's hull before exploding. This is Miller to all squadrons, Tony called out as his fighters scored direct hits. These aliens fight like they're following a textbook. Let's teach them about human creativity. Dr. Rachel's electronic warfare systems began disrupting alien computer networks, causing enemy ships to fire on each other by mistake. The Council forces had never faced opponents who used such dishonorable tactics as computer viruses and false signals. Admiral Kate watched as human ships rammed themselves into much larger alien vessels, sacrificing their lives to disable enemy weapons. This kind of suicide attack was unthinkable to most galactic species, but humans had been using such tactics for thousands of years. Admiral, we're getting reports from across the galaxy, reported the communications officer. Jake Morrison's rebel fleet has captured 3 Council military bases. Over 50 species have joined the rebellion. The Council's forces are being attacked on dozens of worlds. Kate smiled as she watched a human destroyer use its smaller size to get inside an alien battleship's shields and destroy it from close range. Patch me through to all human forces. This is Admiral Phillips to all Earth Defense Force units, Kate announced. Reports are coming in from across the galaxy. Humanity's declaration of war has inspired the greatest rebellion in galactic history. We are not fighting alone. Every shot we fire, every ship we save, every enemy we defeat brings freedom closer for billions of oppressed beings. The battle continued for hours as human forces used every advantage they could find. They attacked from unexpected directions, used weapons in ways that violated galactic conventions of warfare, and refused to retreat even when facing impossible. Odds dot as the day progressed. Something unexpected began to happen. The Council fleet, despite its superior numbers and technology, was being pushed back. Human tactics that seemed primitive and barbaric to Galactic standards were proving devastatingly effective. Jake Morrison's voice suddenly came through the communication system from somewhere in deep space. "Kate, this is Jake. The Rebel Alliance has just captured the Council's main weapons factory. We're sending reinforcements to Earth. Hold the line a little longer." Kate looked around the bridge at her exhausted but determined crew. "You heard the commander. We just need to hold out until help arrives." A massive explosion lit up space as the Council flagship finally succumbed to the constant attacks from human fighters. High Counselor Thexara's ship broke apart, sending the ancient alien leader into the void. The remaining Council ships began to retreat, unable to comprehend how they could be defeated by such a primitive species. As they fled, Kate opened a communication channel that would reach every corner of the galaxy. "This is Admiral Kate Phillips of Earth," she announced. "Today, humanity has proven that no oppressor is too powerful to defeat. The Galactic Council's reign of terror is ending. To every species listening to this message, the Free Species Alliance welcomes you. Together, we will build a galaxy where all thinking beings are truly equal." Captain Tony Miller returned from his fighter mission and stood beside Kate as they watched the enemy fleet disappear into the distance. "Admiral, what happens now?" Kate looked out at the stars where Jake Morrison was building an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. "Now we show the universe what freedom looks like, Tony. The real work is just beginning."